So, my name's Steven. This is Nick Petrella, professor at Mohawk College. Doing an interview with him for a networking assignment that we have due. And I'm just going to start by asking him some questions. Unless you want to say hi to the people.
Hi to myself, I guess.
So, the first question is, where did you grow up, and was there a strong influence of fitness present around you while you were growing up?
So I'm from Niagara Falls area, Fort Erie specifically.
Okay.
That's where I was there till I was approximately 16 or 17. I went to high school outside my hometown, so I was in high school in Port Colborne, Lakeshore Catholic, and just grew up playing hockey. And then when I went to high school, more so football, lacrosse, and hockey. So the fitness portion of my upbringing was all sports related.
Okay.
Obviously, playing football and hockey, it occurs in the same season. So you go from football practice to hockey practice, and then same thing every day, Monday to Friday. And then lacrosse was kind of our off season, so we played lacrosse to stay in shape for football and hockey. But the fitness, my biggest fitness influence, I guess, definitely came from my high school football coaches, because they were all semi-pro football players at one point, so they had good skill and knowledge in conditioning and strength and conditioning, and they really pushed us to get more involved in working out, and taught us from an athletic standpoint that being an athlete wasn't just on the field or on the ice. It was being a student of the sport as well. So training off of the ice, training off of the field, and spending just as much time in the weight room or on a treadmill as you do on the ice or playing the game or practicing. So that was where the my first major influence came from, in terms of instilling the idea of hard work and from the athletic perspective.
So cool. So my second question was, when did you know that you wanted to do this as a career?
I didn't actually. I went to Brock for kinesiology, but initially I wasn't going to Brock. I was going to Guelph for business, and the hockey team I was playing for at the time offered to pay my tuition if I stayed and went to Brock. So I had applied to Brock, Guelph, and Laurier, I think. I don't know, one other school, two for business, and then Brock for kinesiology. So by default, staying with the hockey team I was playing on, I went into physical education and kinesiology. Still with no interest in staying in the field, more so being a teacher at that point than anything. So I didn't really, I didn't have any plans to work in this field until probably my fourth year of kinesiology at Brock, when I started to realize that I didn't want to be a high school teacher, and I didn't want to get into the business side of things anymore. And I became more interested in research, and then I started working with Hockey Canada and working with the hockey teams at Brock, as well as working at some other facilities in that area around St. Catharines, Niagara Falls area, and just gaining more interest in the conditioning side of it. Granted, I was still playing hockey at the time, so it was it was still just kind of supplementary to playing sports, because still at that age, 21, 22, I was still more focused on my athletics than anything.
Cool. So I guess that would lead me into, did you have, well, I guess you already answered that one, so, because I was gonna ask your strongest influences in the industry and why.
Yeah. My high school, definitely high school would be the strongest, and then from there, I mean, working with the hockey teams and just working with different athletes, you see a wide range of commitment levels and work ethics. Mainly being, you have some athletes that are extremely, they see the importance of the athletic side of it, and then you have the other end of the spectrum where they, all they're there for is to play the sport that they're playing, and they don't really care about being in shape or anything like that. So, and you can really see between those two types of athletes, you can see performance differences just in their daily practices and their on and off ice stuff. So, from that perspective, it was that was a big eye opener too, to kind of see how much further the athletes were able to go by working harder off of the ice and putting more time in the weight room or in the training sessions, off-ice training that we were doing.
Okay. How long have you been working in this field?
I guess when I was in university, I was working with the athletic team. So just prior to that, I mean, I did do a lot of I guess you could consider coaching part of this industry too.
Yep.
I coached little kids hockey from the time I was probably 16 or 17, and then just working with youth hockey teams and youth football teams from 16 till about 5 years ago I stopped coaching. But I guess so technically, I mean, I've been working in this field since I was 16, 17 years old, so almost 15 years now. But I haven't taken a break since I started in the fitness industry.
Okay.
But I've worked, I mean, my employments range from coaching to strength and conditioning coach to personal trainer to kinesiologist to consulting. Like I kind of covered that whole end of the fitness stream or fitness perspective. Also at the same time, spent a lot of time working at Brock for student health services and looking more at the health and wellness side. So a lot of time spent on stress management, a lot of work went into time management programs, alcohol counseling situations, tobacco counseling situations. So just look, not so much the fitness end of it from there either. So I kind of did spend 3 years in the wellness side as well as 10 to 15 years in the fitness side too.
Cool. What are some of the behind the scenes things that you encountered that often people don't realize that you would come across?
I like this question a lot. It's because there are a lot of things you don't know until you start working in this field, and it's a glamorized field in terms of you see newspaper articles and magazine articles about personal trainers transforming people's lives and or strength and conditioning coaches transforming athletes or rehabilitating athletes, things like that. But there's a lot of time and effort that goes into those programs. You spend 40, 50, 60 hours designing a program for somebody to try and tailor it to them. I mean, that's kind of the non-glamorous side of it, right? It's the the research that goes into it, the effort the time that it takes to actually put the effort into make sure a program's suitable for somebody. And I mean, just from some management perspectives, some employees are great to work with, some are not so great to work with. There's a lot of, from a customer service standpoint, there's a lot of negative situations that you have to deal with in terms of making sure the customer's happy, making sure the clients are happy, and it's not always, working with people is the best part about the job, but it's not always the easy situations that you're confronted with on a daily basis. And even, still working here at the college with students, and that's the best part about the job, but there's always those confrontational, meetings and things like that make the job difficult at times. Also with this industry, a lot goes in volunteer-wise. I mean, you spend a lot of, and I mean, I know you're seeing that now, but you spend a lot of time just trying to build your resume and gain experience, because there are so many people with experience already out there that that you're going to go out and compete with. So if you don't have that experience, whether it be unpaid or not, if you don't have that experience, it's going to be difficult to find that or to gain those clients or whatever, gain that interest in the field right away. But I think the behind the scenes stuff, there's a lot of dirty work that you have to deal with. And if you ever open your own facility or manage your own facility, like the cleaning aspect of it, somebody's got to mop the floors, somebody's got to clean the bathrooms and the change rooms, somebody's got to wipe up the blood and the sweat and things like that. And I mean, you see that too working over in the gym. Like there's it's not a clean place at the end of the day or halfway through the day. There's things that need to be done to make sure that it's still a still a presentable place to. And I mean, just working, and it's not always, I mean, having employees is great, but there are always those situations where you have to fire somebody, or you have to cut somebody's hours, or tell somebody that you're giving their clients to somebody else because they're not doing the job well, or there's a lot of that type of unfavorable things, or those unfavorable things that nobody wants to do, but you make a lot of friends, but equally you make a lot of people kind of have a negative aspect or impact, negative opinion of you, I guess.
Yeah. Well, have you ever experienced anything like that? Like where you stuck your neck out for someone and tried to help them, and then all of a sudden they turn around and were negative towards you for?
Yeah. I mean, I'm personally, I think I'm the type of person that if somebody shows any interest or promise or any potential, I'd stick my neck out for anybody that I think is deserving of it. But I've definitely had people turn their back on me and or blame me for things that I don't really have any control over, or maybe misinterpret a situation or misinterpret something I've done or tried to help with, and it's definitely a double-edged sword from that perspective, for sure. You have to be, and that being said, I mean, you learn a lot about people and a lot about trusting people and who to trust and when to trust them. But at the same time, I mean, my personal opinion is that everybody deserves a second chance, if you want to say it that way, or everybody deserves the opportunity to prove themselves again. So I would never stop doing that for somebody that, especially students. I mean, I have no problem going to bat for a student if I think that they're worthy of it, for sure.
In terms of communication, is there anything that is there anything that you've learned that you've lacked before, or is it like an ongoing process?
It's ongoing. Like, I mean, I'm sure you've heard me say it before, but I really believe that the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know anything, and there's so much more to learn, right? And I think as a student you experience that every day, but that never stops. I mean, I still attend conferences, still read and keep up with readings, and stay up with all the new developments in the industry and the field, because no matter what, somebody always knows more than you, and somebody always has more experience than you, and somebody always has a better way of looking at something than you do. So from a communication perspective, recommending to you guys that are just going out into the field now, every meeting's important, every event is important, every time you meet somebody new, that's an opportunity for you to develop your communication skills and learn how to interact with those people and treat every situation as professionally as you can. Emails, phone calls, things like that. Everything is interpreted and can be misinterpreted. So making sure that you're using buzzwords or keywords that are going to draw people's attention, but not using words that might come across as arrogant or overconfident. Being sure that if you're at a meeting and you're meeting people, that you're always dressed well, that you're always making eye contact, shaking hands. Just the simple things in terms of communication go a really long way. And what I've found is, because I've never been extremely outgoing as an individual, the more situations that I place myself in where I'm not forced, but that I'm talking to people or introducing myself to people, the more situations I'm in from that perspective, the better my skills become, or the more I've learned from that situation. And realistically, to me, it's all about you have to be comfortable placing yourself outside your comfort zone. So if you're somebody that doesn't like to introduce yourself to somebody, you have to put yourself into that situation to formally introduce yourself, because that's where you're going to learn from. So the next time you have to do it, it's not going to be as difficult. And it can start as it can start in a situation like introducing yourself to your waitress when you're out for dinner. I mean, that's a simple, easy little task that you can interject yourself into, so that when you have to introduce yourself in front of a group of people, it might not be as intimidating or difficult. So,
when you started working in this field, what experience did you have that you didn't consider before beginning your work in this field?
I think playing on teams has really been a huge development for me, because I think playing on a team has allowed me to work with a lot of teams and develop a lot of teams and lead and manage a lot of teams. And I think that, you know, working with kids, like, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, you don't realize at the time how much that, you know, develops your patience and it develops your communication skills and the simple things. Like, I also spent a lot of time coaching and working with female athletes, and working with female team athletes it's a different task because there's so many different personalities in a female team versus a male team that, you know, communication skills are different. The way you carry yourself has to be different. You know, from a female perspective, arrogance can often be, you know, misinterpreted when you're just simply being confident. It's a different. You know, working with most female athletes versus male athletes is you know, they're two completely different challenges. Male athletes have their own challenges, and then female athletes have separate challenges. So, working with kids and you know, getting experience with female athletes really helped me develop a lot of my skills in terms of communication and networking. But you know, just being involved in as many different activities as I could, especially through high school. You know, being involved in, you know, not being on student council, but being involved in student type activities, running, like, you know, we're a Catholic school, so running out of uniform days and fundraisers and stuff like that. All of that type of stuff really develops your ability, and it's mostly just communication, people skills, and it really helps with all of that. Kind of like you're doing now. I know that you're involved in so many different things here, and that's a huge, huge benefit because you meet so many different people, which is great in this industry, first of all. Second of all, you really get to basically interact with all types of personalities, and that's going to help you interpret and read people much better, because a lot of counseling and a lot of communication is being able to read people and being able to interpret, you know, not so much what they want to hear from you or what they need to hear from you, but being able to read somebody who's going to help you, help them as much as you can, for sure.
What are some of your personal achievements that you consider to be your greatest?
I think when I was doing my master's degree at Brock, I went through a lot of work. Like we did. Basically, my master's work was enough to be a PhD project at the time. So what I did in 2 years is normally spread over 4 to 5 years, and just achieving that and you know, maintaining. So I have a really good relationship with my master's advisor. We still keep in contact quite often, and you know, he was at my wedding, and we just have that friendship that we built. And I think that's a lot more than a lot of people gain from that experience. But I have to say that my favorite accomplishments, I guess, would be winning the teaching award here twice in a row. I think that was, you know, it blew me away the first time, and then the second time it was even more overwhelming. I never expected that. You know, I really enjoy teaching, and I really enjoy working with students, and I really enjoy, you know, giving my experiences to people and letting them draw from them and learn from them and learn from my mistakes, and you know, being recognized for that. I think even though I hate being the center of attention, being recognized for things that you really love doing is, for me, that's probably the biggest impact that anything's ever had on me, for sure.
Cool. So how much work goes into running a company such as Core Fusion?
It's a lot. Like this is the second business, so to speak, that I've run from, you know, the inside out, and both, I've been lucky enough, have been tied to an institution. So Core Fusion is tied to a college. Therefore, I have a huge team of support behind me. Before, you know, I don't need to develop my own website. I don't need to, you know, worry about the accounting side of it, because there's already somebody doing that, right? So I just take, for instance, take the money, we just take it and we put it into an account, because we have an entire accounting system set up for us. So, I mean, from that perspective, very lucky. But I do know.
So you know, they kind of leveled some expenses then.
Yeah. Almost all expenses, right? Because everything's already set up. You know, the accounts are set up. As far as business cards, all that type of stuff, it's a lot easier because it's an expense of the college. Because it's, you know, even though Core Fusion is you know, it's the mission of Core Fusion is to offer experience to our students.
Yep.
It's still a business, and we still have to show a profit, or else it wouldn't run anymore.
Yeah.
So you know, we still have to be budgeting and you know, making sure that coaches are. We have enough volunteer coaches, because we do have to pay a couple of coaches, and we need to make sure that we're making enough money to pay these coaches. And you know, you know, as far as running the business goes, there's a lot of it's all organization, and you know, being on top of emails and phone calls and messages. And I mean, I'm still the contact person for Core Fusion, so anytime a team wants training or an individual wants training, typically I'm the go-to for that. And you know yourself, as a volunteer, we have, you know, a laundry list of volunteers that come out once in a while, so trying to coordinate that. And what I have learned is that the earlier you can set a principle, so like a dress code, or you know, have a laundry list of rules, or have a code of conduct, and have, you know, a schedule. As long as you have these templates formatted, the earlier you have those formatted, the better it's going to run. And what I've really learned in being, you know, somewhat of a perfectionist, what I've really learned is, as soon as you have people you can trust within your organization, and delegating simple responsibilities to them will make the company or the business run a lot smoother, because you know, there's less on my plate means that I can focus on other things that are going to help build that business too, and help run the program, a quality program, as opposed to, you know, something that's going to get bad reviews or not get people wanting to come back.
Yeah.
But the previous business I ran, working with firefighters, there's a lot of, you know, you have to be on, you know, you have to be on your email, you have to be on your messages, you have to be available almost, you know, 24 hours a day from some perspective, because you never know when somebody needs an immediate reply. I mean, that's kind of the way, you know, society's driven right now, but it's, you know, it's an unfortunate way to live sometimes. Yeah. But I mean, at the same time, my personal opinion is that even teaching is almost like a customer service, because with students, and they want marks, or they want, you know, some feedback on why they scored really well or really poorly. So it's almost like it's the same idea. I feel like you have to be available in order to make sure that your business is running smoothly, and make sure that you're available for them when they need you and things like that. So as far as the, you know, the expense side, I've been lucky. I've walked into 2 businesses that have minimal expenses to start up, obviously. But at the same time, I've managed a facility for a short period of time that wasn't in the best financial situation. And there's, you know, you have to be aware of, as silly as it sounds, you have to be aware of, you know, how much money you're spending on toilet paper and paper towels, how much money you're spending on cleaning solutions, how much money you're spending on, you know, what's going to be the cheapest but most effective disinfectant that you can use, excuse me, on the equipment. Or so there's a lot that goes into those types of situations, and making sure that they're, you know, your money's allocated in the right areas, in the right directions. Working for the college, or on behalf of the college gives you a budget, right? So I have money to work with, and everything gets approved. Well, I put a proposal in, it either gets approved or not. So, and that's, you know, my back office, so to speak, so that they deal with that side of it. I just need to make sure that the business still runs.
Cool. Yeah. So, roughly, how many emails and phone calls do you receive and answer a day?
Emails, most of my world is electronic right now, so I'd say, you know, anywhere from 100 to 200 emails a day, depending on the day. Weekends are a little bit slower, but I mean, you know, that's why you get so many emails from me, because that's the way that it's easier to communicate, and for me anyways. But roughly 100 to 200 emails. Voicemail, not as much anymore. Facebook used to be a lot larger when I wasn't at the college, because we're not on that type of social media here, but when I was with other places, Facebook was huge. So you know, maybe 20 to 30 Facebook messages a day, and maybe, you know, 10 to 15 tweets a day. So it's, you know, it adds up. So, you know, 200 to 300 messages a day approximately that you're dealing with.
So how many contacts would you say that? How many people? Contacts would you say that that you need in order to have an arm's reach to be successful? How many contacts would a person have to go out there and try to make?
That's a good question. I mean, it's unlimited, I think. I wouldn't say there's a minimal or a maximal. I think that, you know, I learned a long time ago, well, not a long time ago, but I learned that, you know, you need to have an address book that, you know, every time you meet somebody you're adding, and you should be getting business cards from everybody you meet and keeping track of them, and you know, your address book should be growing every day. And another thing I learned, you should always, and especially in this world because we are marketing ourselves to some degree, you should have your address book broken down into like a, you know, a hot list, a warm list, and a cold list. And your hot list is your immediate close people that you contact or could contact every day. Your warm list are people maybe you contact once, twice a week, you're in touch with them. And then your cold list might be people you've met once or twice or 3 times. So you have your address book broken down, so you know if you need to market yourself, or you know your hot list are the people to go to. You stay, you know, those are the people you talk to all the time that you can try to, you know, network yourself with their events or what they're doing or going out to their functions. Warm list, and you're always trying to go, so you have hot, warm, and cold. You're always trying to make your cold market your warm market, and make your warm market your hot market. So you're always trying to recreate. So as your warm becomes hot, now your cold becomes warm, and now you're going out and meeting a whole group of new people to put into your cold market. And you're continuously just filtering out that line. And I mean, I've gone to conferences and personal development conferences, you know, all across Canada and the U.S. and still stay in contact with a lot of those people. And it's, you know, even if you know you don't see a purpose in, you know, the relationships you're developing now, what I have learned is that it always comes back somehow. It always, you know, kind of filters or circles back around where you know you might but you know you might re-network yourself with that person down the road somewhere for something. And it always, you know, working in customer service or in the service industry, once a customer, always a customer, and they're always going to come back in some form or another. Or if they don't, they know somebody that's going to come back around. And that's why networking and marketing yourself and meeting as many people as you can, and always giving off a positive image, always carrying yourself well, always making that eye contact, always shaking hands, always being dressed well, always, you know, making sure that you're using, you know, appropriate terminology that wouldn't offend people, you know, making sure that you're always aware of
that's one I gotta work on.
How you're carrying yourself. Because at the same time, you never know when somebody's watching.
Yeah.
You never know when somebody might see something out of you that, you know, might be out of character. It might only happen once in your lifetime, but that one time, somebody might have seen something that they didn't like. And then that's going to affect maybe how this group of 5 people feels about you. And I mean, it's small, right? And at the same time, you shouldn't have to, you know, be uptight and uncomfortable all the time. But at the same time, as long as you're happy and, you know, you're doing what you want to do, that's going to come naturally. And that's another thing that I've learned as well. If you're happy and doing what you want to do, that attracts people, and that attracts, I mean, from this perspective, attracts business, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So what type of advice would you give someone just finishing school in order to get into this field?
I think you know me pretty well, and I think I know you pretty well, and I think I told you before that I think you got a really good grasp on what you want, and but I really do think that I can't stress enough how important it is to get involved in as many different opportunities, events that you can, meet as many people as you can, you know, and don't be so set on what you want to do right now, and try to network in other areas. You know, maybe get involved in the wellness side, get involved with the fitness side, get involved with assessments, whatever it is, you know, whatever's going on, because not only are you going to learn more from that, you're going to meet other people as well, and you're going to find out what other people are doing, and you never know where another opportunity could jump up, and maybe it is exactly what you want. So being involved in as many different things as you can, and like you're doing now, really developing your relationships with the people that are close to you, because those people are your classmates, your professors. Those are the people that you're going to always be referring back to or going back to, or you know, always going to be keeping in touch with. And you know, like I've realized that the closer or the better relationships I've had with people, you know, they're always contacting me if they need something. Even if it's as simple as, do you know this person? I'm looking to hire somebody. They replied, do you know them? Or I have this position available. I'm looking for somebody to do this. Do you know somebody that could do this? So not only is it important to, you know, stay in touch, but to be somebody who's accountable, be somebody who is, you know, reliable and dependable, because those are the types of people that always will be looked back for or seeked out, so to speak.
So those are the type of people that are on the hot list.
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly. And I mean, it's a, you know, I can't stress enough how important it is to, you know, make sure you're always developing relationships, and how much of this industry is communicating and just really just being a people person and learning how to develop your people skills.
Yeah.
Another, I mean, one of the most important things I think I've ever learned from a personal development conference that I went to is never, you know, if something doesn't go right in a relationship, or, and I know that you've had an experience with this, but if something doesn't go right in a relationship, don't immediately look at the other person as them being the problem or the reason it didn't go right. Always look back at yourself and what you did in that relationship that could have been misinterpreted, or that could have, you know, maybe fueled this, you know, breakup of a relationship, or breakdown in relationship, or breakdown in communication. And once you've looked within and you found, you know, maybe there was something that I could have done differently, or could have done better, or maybe I could have approached it differently, or communicated this differently. Once you've looked within, then you know how to fix that relationship, right? Because you have to think of the example. If you have a breakdown in communication with somebody and somebody attacks you, your immediate response is to, you know, get your back up, kind of get on the defensive, and that's only going to create more hostility and intensity between the two of you. Yeah. But if you were to take a step back, or if that person was to take a step back, think about, okay, here's what I think happened, here's how I think this relationship broke down. Maybe if we took a step back and started at that point again, maybe we wouldn't be where we are right now. Yeah. So it's a lot of swallowing pride, because most people don't like to admit they're wrong, or admit that maybe they could have done something differently. Yeah. But from the same perspective, if you're able to step back, remove yourself from a situation, think about maybe what you did wrong, and then maybe look at that entire situation from another perspective, that's going to really help you learn a lot about yourself, and a lot about, you know, how to develop, make friendships, or change your warm list to your hot list, or cold list to your warm list.
Cool. I guess my last question would be, we learned in this program at Mohawk a lot of kind of live what you preach kind of thing. Mm-hmm. How's your diet?
Average at best. Yeah.
So do you like, because me, I eat ice cream and protein every night. Yeah. Is like, do you have anything that you eat that's not really considered healthy?
Yeah, for sure. I eat, you know, I drink a lot of coffee. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'll never tell somebody how to eat, because I don't eat healthy, and the reason, you know, I spend a lot of time in the gym, and I spend a lot of time taking care of myself from a fitness perspective that allows me to get away with eating what I want when I want. Yeah. But I'd have to say my biggest vices, I eat ice cream every night, almost every night, maybe 4 or 5 days a week. Yeah, and I'll eat chips at least once a day for sure. Yeah. And you know, if I could, I'd eat pizza 3 times a day, absolutely, every day, no problem with that.
It's a vegetable now, according to the Americans.
Yeah. So I mean, it all depends on whose perspective you look at it from, right? But no, I mean, the reason that I do believe people should train a lot harder is because that's going to allow you to eat what you want in moderation. That's going to allow you to enjoy, you know, and if I cut chips, ice cream, coffee, and pizza out of my diet, I'd be miserable. And that's not, you know, if you want to look at health, wellness, and fitness, it's about being happy, right? Yeah. How do you make yourself happier? Well, those vices are things I enjoy. You know, those are the things I like in my day that, you know, I want to continue. So how can I continue being happy with those vices? You know, I compensate by exercising a lot. So the best way to go about it, but it's a method to maintain your happiness, I guess.
Cool. Well, I think that's all I need. I think my teacher is going to be impressed with this. So thanks for your time,
No problem.
and
Thanks for
see you
being
around.
on. Yeah,
Thanks.
sure. Thanks, Steve.